All right, YouTube, what's going on? So today, I want to talk about why the path to success is a lonely one. And excuse me if I sound like a bit tired or a bit off. I'm recording this video before I go to work today, so it's pretty early in the morning. But this is something that I've been thinking about or dealing with, I should say, myself. And this sort of relates to the video that I made before about the reality of chasing success as a young black man. And you know, as I've gotten older and as I've started to progress in my career and whatnot, marriage, all of the things that come with adulthood, especially being a young black man, I've increasingly became or have become more lonely, right? And not to sound like sad about it or anything like that, but it is something that I think about pretty often because when I was younger, I had a lot of friends. Um, I was very social. I still am a social person, but I just don't really necessarily get along with people as much as I did before. And it's not because I'm not social anymore or because I don't like to talk to people anymore, but I think that especially if you are a young man, when you start achieving success in life, the sad reality of it is that most of the time it comes with sacrifices that not everyone sees. And a big one of those sacrifices is your friends, right? And I know personally myself, this is something that I've sort of struggled with coming to the realization or accepting because, like I said, I used to have a lot of friends when I was younger. And as I've gotten older, I just sort of feel like a disconnect between the people that I grew up with and myself, especially as I start to prioritize more important things in my life, like financial success, etc. So I just wanted to talk about that briefly. And I guess just give a perspective as to why I think it is a lonely path to success, right? So I would say the main thing that I'm noticing as I get older is that it's becoming increasingly harder for me to become or stay friends with people who I was friends with before, um, simply because our values don't align anymore. And it really is hard to admit that and it's hard to accept that, especially when you grew up with a lot of these people. But that's just the reality of growing up, I guess. And, especially as a young black man, I feel like I said, this relates to the videos that I made before about chasing success as a young black man. But if you're a black man, a young one who is trying to do something with his life, that really alienates you, a lot of the times from the people that you grew up with because most young black men nowadays are not really prioritizing success and they engage in a lot of degenerate behavior, to just put it frank. And that's not something that I'm really interested in doing anymore, right? So it's hard for me to really hang out or talk or interact with the same people that I did when I was 16, 17, 18. And it's definitely not something that's enjoyable, I'd say, being lonely. I am married, so I'm not completely alone, but as a man, you obviously want to have like male connection. And I don't think society really prepares us for dealing with the loneliness that comes when you start trying to achieve something. Now, of course, um, it's not all on the people you hang out with or the people that you grew up with because you obviously can make new friends, right? But I guess I'm just talking about how when you're starting on that path to success, most of the time you're probably going to outgrow the people that you hung out with the most. And that is a sad reality, but it is the truth. And I think the main reason for that is that uh, if you want to achieve something in life, right, you can't really hang out with people who aren't on the same level as you in terms of financial goals, intellectual goals, whatnot. If your friends don't care about learning anything, all they want to do is have fun, it becomes harder for you to actually enjoy hanging out with these people. And again, this is something that I've really struggled to deal with because I used to be a kid, right? So I didn't really care too much about life as a kid. Obviously, I was just enjoying my life. And as I've gotten older, I've become more and more like separate from the people that I grew up with. And it sort of hurts because now it's almost hard for me to interact with them or hang out with them. And I still have a couple of friends that I like talk to here and there, but for the most part, I don't really hang out with anybody besides my wife on a week to week, day to day basis. I don't really talk to that many people, honestly. And as a young black man, especially, I think it's something that is hard for us to deal with because we already suffer from a lack of male figures in our community, right? Now, luckily, I did have a strong father growing up. I have a strong male family, so I was blessed with that. But, still, I think having male friends is very important, right? Strong male friends that can inspire you and motivate you to do better in life is very important. But sadly, that's something that I've struggled with. I think it's hard to make friends as a young adult, for one, that don't want to just have fun all the time and are actually interested in doing something successful or progressive with their lives, right? So this has sort of put me in like a spot where I am a bit lonely, to be honest, but it's not necessarily something that is a bad thing all of the time. But I just think that the pressure to conform or the motivation to fit in is a big part of the reason why a lot of young men don't ever separate themselves from the group, right? And I'm not encouraging you to separate yourselves from your friends or anything like that. But I do think that a big part of growth, especially if the people around you are not aligned in where you want to be, is you're going to have to separate yourself from these people, right? And that comes with personal struggles, of course. Like I've said before, I am a bit lonely now. And I think this really has to do with the fact that my friends don't really align, or the people that I hung out with, I should say, don't really align with what I want to do in life, right? But I guess the main thing that I want to talk about in this video is why I think that it's not necessarily a bad thing to be lonely, especially if you are a young man who is trying to achieve success. If you are willing to sacrifice the short-term gratification that you get from hanging with people who you might not really align with, or you might not really see yourself being friends with long-term simply because they don't do the things that you really would want a person that you're friends with to do, it can help you gain more focus as to what it is you want out of life, right? The one thing I'd say about the last couple of years of my life since I've finished college, started working, etc., is that I've sort of come to accept the fact that being lonely, especially as a young black man, is just something that comes with being successful as a young black man. Our culture is heavily geared towards a lot of fun and a lot of short-term gratification, if that makes sense. And, it's hard to really achieve success when you engage in a lot of short-term gratification and a lot of short-term fun, going out, clubbing, etc. So as you start to grow apart from that type of stuff, you basically are forced to choose, like, do I want to continue down the path of being I don't know what to call it, a low-life degenerate to an extent, or do I want to actually achieve something great for myself and be the best person that I can be, right? So, that's definitely something that's not easy to deal with, and it's something that I'm struggling with right now, which is why I'm making this video. I wake up every day, I go to work, I do my work, come home, hang out with my wife, walk the dog, etc. And especially now that it's winter time, I'm in the house a lot more. But there's a disconnect that I feel between myself, at least, and most young men in my community. It's very hard for me to make friends with the average 22-year-old black man because he simply does not care about the things that I care about. And not to say like every black man, obviously that's not the case. I'm an example of a black man who is not obsessed with just having fun or just not taking their life serious, but it's not easy to find those people, right? And I don't know. I just think it's something that I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life, honestly, until I learn how to make more friends. And this is also something that I want to talk about because I think people might be afraid. A lot of young men, if you're a young man watching this video, you might be afraid to ever break out of the mold that is pretty much made for you from such a young age. If you hang out with your friends, you don't want to stop talking to your friends. And I'm not saying you should ever stop talking to your friends, right? But if you ever actually want to achieve something, whether that's financial, you want to make a good amount of money in your life, you want to get a good job, even relationships, most young black men don't take relationships serious. And, you can't hang out with people who don't align with what your values are in life. If I'm married, I can't hang out with people who are just single and want to go out all the time and just do degenerate stuff, right? Because that's not what I'm aligned with, being a married guy. So, things like that, it affects you, and it makes you think, is it me? Like, am I the problem? Am I unable to keep friends because I think I'm too good for my people? And I like to think I'm not like that. I don't think I'm too good for my people. I try to connect with the people that I used to hang out with a lot, but it just simply doesn't work. The reality of it is that as you grow up, you're gonna likely have to remove people from your life if you want to better your life. If your life is not going the path or the way that you want it to go, you're probably gonna have to realign yourself and stop hanging with certain people. And that's just the sad reality of it, I feel. I didn't want this video to be too long. Like I said, I have to go to work today. This is just something I thought about waking up today. But, if you're a young black man and you're watching this, I would love to hear what you think about this, because I've been reading the comments on my videos, and I see a lot of people actually are like agreeing with me about how it is a bit like alienating to be a young black man who is trying to achieve anything of success, because it sort of puts you outside of the community. And that's not really cool, I feel. It's a pretty sad reality to come to, but it is the truth. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. Quick video for you guys. Thank you guys for all of the support that I've been getting recently on my videos. I honestly never thought that I would get this many views as quickly as I have. So if you're watching this video now, I appreciate it. And if you're a young black man watching this video as well, I guess my last piece of advice would be, don't be afraid to take the lonely route, because most of the time, or I'm willing to bet all of the time, the lonely route and figuring out who you are and what you want to be, that's the route that's going to give you the most success in life. So that's pretty much it. As always, it's been your boy Brandon Davis. I'm out.